Good morning. This is Daniel Posney with Shifting Perspectives. And this topic is about how to return to loving communication. And this is something that has come up, throughout our lives about how we can come back to that point where the way that we used to talk to each other and the way that we used to look at each other and those kind of things. And I know that, no one is out of this in any way that they don't experience some kind of little jabs or little energetic things that are placed into the words that are meant to kind of set a position in that conversation. And I've done it myself. And when we get unbalanced or something triggers us, or we're tired, it comes out. You could be on a hike all day long with your beloved and be in the hot sun and be tired and be hungry, and the stuff is going to come out. It's just, you can't help it sometimes. So how do we get back to that? Well, one of the things that has really helped me in the past is to look at my beloved and to look at her in their eyes and spend time in front of her, touching her, make sure that when we're in communication with each other, that we touch each other as much as possible. And it's very easy to slip out of that communication, that conscious communication with each other. You get too busy, you don't meet or talk during the day, and then you only talk during dinner time. And then I know there's some people that don't really share their day with their beloved, and they're kind of a different person when they're in their job, and then they're a different person when they get home, so they don't share the two. But what happens with that separation is that the person doesn't really feel intimately involved in them. And it's kind of like, well, I don't want to share all my crap with this person. But it's actually, you kind of share with that person for their wisdom, for their compassion, for their presence, for their listening. And so it's becomes the question of, why is that you don't feel that you really want those things? So there's a real opportunity for us to really engage with our beloved in that communication. I just had a realization. I need to talk also to the people that aren't in relationship. So I'll talk about that too. So this is going to be about effectively or lovingly communicate with your relationship partner or with anyone. So when we get into an intimate relationship, that's when our ties are really strong. But we also have other relationships that are related to our job, a career, or whatever we're doing in the world. So it can be applied to that too. The one thing that I did is kind of been playing with here is that, I don't know if Valerie knows this or not, but I've been playing with the idea of talking to Valerie like she's my great grandmother. How would you talk to your great grandmother if she was visiting in your house? And it's a whole lot different than you would talk to your beloved sometimes when you get unbalanced and that kind of thing. If it was your frail, loving great grandmother and she was, staying in your house and she was a little bit timid and she a little bit shy, and, she wasn't one of these hard grandmothers, great grandmothers, but she was one of these real, got to be soft with her. And so when you would ask her a question, you would say, great grandmother, what can I get you? What can I do for you? And then the other way to look at it. So I started out with thinking about Valerie as a 4 or 5 year old, speaking to her like a little girl that just needs tenderness. And it really does serve a purpose if you can stay out of the, what's it called? Like talking down to her. That really doesn't work. But what you can do is talk to the little girl that has, from the time that you see her now as a 4 or 5 year old, has developed coping mechanisms or ways to communicate so that she feels safe. So you could talk to that person, your beloved, man or woman, as them as a little boy, a little girl, in a way that says, okay, now we're going to go right down to exactly what you've needed as a child. Maybe that's just really compassionate listening. Maybe that's really looking in their eyes and making sure that they know that, you're safe with them, that you can tell them things, that you're not going to run away, you're not going to do anything else while you're listening to them. It's that kind of thing. And then when I think about communicating with Valerie as my great grandmother, sometimes, she'll be doing something, and there could be a tendency to just kind of blankly or without any tenderness ask a question or state something. But you wouldn't say that, you wouldn't do it in that exact way if you was your sweet little great grandmother. You might make sure that you go up to her and you look in her eyes, make sure that she can hear you, because her hearing's not so good. So you make sure that she can see you and hear you, and you speak to her, is it, do you feel good about this? Is it okay? You feel good about me doing this? That kind of thing. So there's a little bit, kind of a little methods that you could use to kind of get back to that loving communication. The other thing is to realize that the things that bring us out of loving communication are little triggers that end up being little resentments. And then they build up into ideas and judgments about the person that we're with. And it's so frustrating when I want to blame something on Valerie. She's sitting right over here. I want to point it at Valerie that she's doing this or not doing that. And it's so frustrating, because when I go back to myself, do I do that or not do that? Or what I'm trying to judge her for, do I do that? It's frustrating. My ego is frustrated that I can't just point at her. I have to point at myself too. So the way to come back to that loving communication is just have compassion for myself. That the thing that instead of just launching into the reaction of your own judgment to your beloved or to your business partner, whoever this is, that they're making you feel a certain way, do you sometimes do that too? And then you pull back and you have compassion for yourself, and then you come back to loving communication with yourself, and then have an honest communication with that person. And it could go something like this. When you said this, it really brought me back to some moment in my childhood or something. I don't even know what it is, but it got a little trigger in me more than it should have. And this is something that I've seen in the past about myself. And I just want you to know that you're off the hook. That's a really brave thing to do. That's really stepping in front of the egoic mind and taking control of your heart again, because your heart doesn't really want to be in that position, but your egoic mind is completely okay with it. Let me look at my notes here, make sure I'm not missing anything. So what I understand about the different stages of relationship is, this is one perspective, that there's stage one, that there's this conditional love. You think it's unconditional, but it's actually conditional. You show up this way and I'll love you. And you be this way to me, and then I'll be this way to you. And it's this, you keep on showing up this way that you're really sweet and nice and there's no conflict, and then we'll love each other. That's stage one. And then stage two can be the stage where, the crap comes up, the triggers come up, the insecurities come up. And that's kind of where people make a decision. Well, this is just, this is too much, or it's too much conflict or something. But stage three is the stage where some people go and they go into it as a healing experience. And they have this person in front of them to help them bring up those things that no one else could heal but them right now. So you have all these different relationships, and they didn't work out, or you've got a feeling that they didn't work out for this reason or that reason. Now you're in this relationship that this person, in the best way, is bringing up those old things, but now you're in a place that you have the tools and the awareness to heal and integrate those things. That's stage three. But what stage three leads us into is a place of loving communication like you may never have had before. You may have had great sex before, and you may have great life experiences and adventures before, but the intimacy and the loving communication and experience of love is always inhibited by this gate of protection. And I know this one for myself, that I've been in relationships where I've kind of positioned or protected myself. And this one, I'm saying, I'm not going to protect myself. And it does come up every once in a while. And I do my best to check it and then be honest with Valerie. And that this is what I was thinking, or this is what came up. And the other thing that I've been really working on is being really clear, so that if I know that one of Valerie's things is to be heard, I make sure that I let her know that I didn't hear you because I was in the other room. Or I want to make sure that I'm really clear what I'm hearing. Or when there's something that's said, I say, this is what I was thinking, and I wasn't thinking this. So it's a really clear communication, and it can be challenging because the energy can be kind of really sharp sometimes. So what I'm practicing is not having any sharpness behind my words, but at the same time being really clear. So like, let's say that you say something and then you have a response, or you have a reaction, getting ready to react. You pull yourself back and you make a response. And then the other person has another response on top of that. You have a moment right there to kind of check why you need to make another response, or what could be a reaction. And that response is kind of, does this really need to be said? Do you really need to respond in this way? And whatever you're saying about this other person, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. I'll do my best to explain it. You're responding to the certain thing, and then you're asking, God, why did they respond in that way? Well, can you ask yourself why you responded in that way? Why you needed to respond? And see where that goes? It's just, it gets to be this, just taking a pause and hold on a second. Do you need to respond? Or can you just let it be said and then that's the end of it? But what we tend to do is we let our egoic mind kind of step in there and say, you need to assert yourself this, or you need to say this. So that's something that I've been working on, is saying less words with more love, with greater intention, and breathing more in between my words. That's another one that really helps me out to get into loving communication more. It's just breathing more, and I'll go up behind Valerie or touch her on the shoulder or touch her on the back or give a little kiss. And I don't hold back on those little inspirations to give her some love, or little text message or something that kind of keeps us in that intimate connection. Because like I said, it's really easy to let things get in the way. Oh, I'm too busy here. I've got this other meeting here. I've got this thing going on. And we lose our really strong friendship. We lose our friendship and the intimacy that comes with that. So what we're doing a lot of is, we actually need to schedule, time together. We need to, because we both have busy schedules. So we schedule time, like we're going to go see the wolves, and we're also going down to this retreat center called Angel Valley to go just kind of be with our friends there. But we need to put that on our calendar. It can't be just, well, we'll just kind of fit it in, because it's not going to work. So we scheduled our time together. We schedule our play dates together. We schedule our time off together, and we insert these different things to, like little dinners, or maybe we'll have a lunch, or like we're going to schedule having some octopus at Mariposa. That's just a little thing that we both love to do, and that keeps us more connected, because I really want Valerie to be the one that I share my deepest hurts and pains and intimacies with. I do have other friends that I share those things with, but with my wife, I want to make she's a part of that too, in a big way. So keeping us really connected in those little activities, the little connections with each other, really helps out a lot. And the other thing that I really try and focus on is, if I know that I love to be appreciated, that there's an egoic part of me that loves to be appreciated and acknowledged, then I'll give that out to Valerie, not because I need it back, is because I want to be in that stream. I want to be in the energy of appreciation and acknowledgement and feeling significant. I want to be in the stream of that and not in the stream of not being acknowledged, that kind of thing. So when I activate more of that stuff in myself, then it's kind of, I'm in the field of that. So I'll make sure that if her thing is being heard and my thing is acknowledgement, that I'll acknowledge to her that I hear her. See, if you really know about what your partner, what their needs are, and being from a child into their adult life, you can really kind of tap into that, and you do it because that's what they need, not because you're going to get anything from it, but you kind of put yourself in the energy of that. What I like to say is that I want to be in the room of that. I want to be in the room of acknowledgement and appreciation and love and feeling like we're significant in each other's lives. And that just means that I need to express more of that. And the truth is that I really do appreciate her. I really do acknowledge her. And I really do feel that she is totally significant. But unless I say it out loud and acknowledge it and express it that way, sometimes she may not know that. So, the whole love language thing, it may be that she needs words of affirmation and I don't, so that thing plays out where if I don't need the words, then I won't speak them because, hey, she knows how I feel. But if she needs the words, then I make sure that she gets, her needs met on that. So let's see if there's anything more than I want to say. We can have it all. You're in this together for healing. Be excited about this all happening, that you're changing the relationship to a higher frequency. Oh, the other thing that I want to touch on is a lot of how we communicate with each other goes back to childhood. And when you ask yourself, this is really key, when you ask yourself how your family communicated. So Valerie's family communicated in a different way that my family communicated. And there were some unhealthy parts about both of our childhood, about how we communicated with each other. And in my childhood, there was more, it wasn't like, stereotypical Italian, Jewish, Irish family. Everybody's loving and fighting and all that stuff that's kind of apparent in a lot of those families. And it's beautiful. My family was the opposite. We kind of went different ways. And we didn't feel a space of really deep communication and be able to have emotions and that kind of thing. It just wasn't talked about. It wasn't oppressed. It just wasn't there, kind of thing. So that's something that I needed to learn and probably still learning. And then Valerie learned certain things about her communication in her family. So that's where you guys meet, in that place. And what worked for Valerie in her family is not going to work in our relationship. That's where it's going to cause struggles. And how I communicated or didn't communicate in my childhood is not going to work here. So we need to change our communication styles. And that's where we can really teach each other how we can effectively communicate in a new way than what we're used to. So I think that's all I got for this short little video. I hope this really helps. It seems to help me kind of keep on track of coming back to loving communication after I slipped up and I got insensitive, or I said something that was subtle energetically something, or maybe I had a burst out reaction. So it's a good way to come back into that. Thank you so much. I love you, bless you, and have a beautiful day.